Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be having a look under the cam cover of the replacement engine, see what sort of condition it's like under there, and also changing the cam belt. So let's go and have a look. So what the plan is, I'm going to keep all the sensors and everything else on here, throttle body. Obviously the ECU is going to have to go on that mounts here, but we'll go into that in more detail when the time comes. But the idea is to keep this engine pretty much as is, run it up if it will run, see what happens, and then if there's any sensors that I need, if there's anything broken needs replacing, then I'll replace it with ones off the old engine. The old engine did have a little bit of a misfire, which funny enough over the last 1,000 miles that I've driven it seems to have got a lot better. It seems to be running a lot smoother, despite the fact that it was rattling even more. It seemed to run a lot smoother. So it might have just been something clogged up, or I think it had done a lot of short journeys. So it might have just been the EGR system bunged up and that's cleared out a little bit now, or whatever. But the plan is to run this one, see how it runs, and then if we need to replace parts we can. If we don't want to replace them, then we can buy new ones. So just looking at that belt there, so that can be released. Take a photograph of that before it comes off, because it's quite a complicated run. Well, that's not that bad actually, it's just round, isn't it? And then the slack goes into where the tensioner is. Haven't bothered buying a new tensioner. I figure I've got two, one in there, one in there. I've got this belt new, and this one as a spare if it was to snap. Won't do too much damage. Like I think I said before, I have heard of these coming off and getting pulled up inside the timing case and ripping this belt off, which is a complete disaster. But I think that's very unlikely on this engine because of the way the cover is over here. That's not going to get inside. I suppose it could. No, I don't even think it'd get in behind that pulley. I think you'd be very unlucky. Nice to see that is a Gates belt. No idea what that timing belt's like or what make it is. Can't see on there, but we'll be able to look at that very, very shortly. So the first thing to do is, well, the next thing I'm going to do is just whip this cover off and show you in a little bit of detail what I found. So first thing I found when we whipped the timing cover off was that. What's wrong with it, I hear you say? Well, nothing really, because it is nice and clean. This engine was supposed to have done, was allegedly done 55,000 miles. Externally it looks a little bit worse for wear. I think it's been sitting about in a yard for quite a while, so it's got surface rust on the outside, but inside it has got no carbon build. Well, I say no, there's a tiny little bit in there, tiny little bit down there, but I mean engines do have carbon in them, so little bits of build up there, but not like the other one where it was just full of sludge and crap. It was absolutely disgusting, and that's why I bought a new one. So I think this one's quite good. A quick clean out and it'll be fine. But I probably will put the brand new one on when the time comes. But we'll keep this one on temporarily just to protect the valve gear. Now the slight concern was, originally I did this a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, you can see it still on here. There's some surface rust on the valves. See that there? Sorry, not on the valves, on the camshafts, on the cam lobes. There's some surface rust, which is a little bit concerning. The good thing is, I don't think it's actually on the tips of the lobes themselves. And a quick wipe, as you can see, it comes up quite clean. So I'm hoping that it's going to be okay. I think it will be.
The other thing is that I did spray it down with WD-40 because it was very, very dry up the top here, so I just gave it a quick misting just to stop it getting any worse. But as you can see, a little bit of carbon here and there, but not a great deal. Nothing like the other one, the other engine is or was. So I'm quite happy with that. Downsides are, if you look down there, that was really, really nice and clean, except that one had got a lot of water in it. Which is a bit concerning. So what I need to do, I actually do need to, before I take any spark plugs out or anything, I do need to clean this up, clean that hole out, vacuum it, or blow it out with the air gun or something, and get it nice and clean before I take the spark plug out, because I don't want stuff dropping down inside the engine. That stud, exactly the same one as on the other engine, was actually pig. Well, it wouldn't come out, as you can see, so I had to grind the head off with a Dremel. And that is actually now, I don't know if I can do it finger tight, I still need to get the mole grips on that to whip that out, but that is now free. I have loosened it off. You can see the clean threads just under there. So yeah, it's not in bad condition in there, so I was a little bit worried about the surface rust, but hey ho, hopefully it'll be alright. Only way to tell is to get it in the car, so let's crack on with the prep. What's the next task? I think the next task is to get this this auxiliary belt off, crankshaft pulley off, and get the engine lined up, ready to do the cam belt. So let's crack on. Not sure if that's going to do the trick or not. Yeah, look at that. That's that kiddie. So we do that. We can now whip that off of there. Release the tension again and get that belt off. It's sounding a bit sticky. What sort of condition it's in. Doesn't look too bad actually. You can see that there. But reasonable condition. We'll keep that for another day. Is that right? I don't know, we'll find out. So somehow I've got to stop this engine from turning over, which normally I'd say, yeah, easy, stick it in gear, put the handbrake on, job done. But obviously I haven't got that option. So I've got to work out a way of locking that in place, which might be easier said than done. So I think the engine rotates that way, so if I push down it, so to unbolt that bolt, I think I need to go up. Good. Right, so just a quick idea to give you a quick idea of what I've done there. There should be a rubber bung in that hole, I believe. Just stop muck and stuff getting into the clutch and flywheel. But what that is there is, I think, is an access hole to get to this flywheel to lock it. So what I did, stuck a screwdriver through there. It has just dislodged itself a little bit now, but you can see it coming through there, and I just wedged it in the teeth of the flywheel like that. Rotated the engine round till it gripped on the top of the hole, and then we were able to loosen the bolt, which is this big one in here. So that's now quite loose. Should be able to undo that, get this pulley off. It's a big old bolt. You're going to need a E18 Torx bit for that. Should mean, oh, that came off nice and easy. That pulley comes off. So, right, I think it's that one. So we've got a E10 Torx bit for that. Pretty standard for the cover bolts. Need a smaller. You can't see that, but I've just opened that socket setup up, so luckily it's only one little set. Bloody annoying nonetheless. I'll sort that out later. End of the day, tidy up.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing, wasn't it? We've got to get this tensioner off. Is that the same size bolt as that? No, a little bit smaller. That one maybe a bit bigger. Must be that one then. That'll do. Quite loose. Loose but free. Right, that's interesting. That, if you can see, it has got some blue thread lock on there. So we need to put some back on there. I'm surprised that one hadn't actually, but that looks relatively clean, so I don't know. That's our tensioner off, is it? Yes. Well, it's a complicated looking bit of kit behind there. Didn't realise it was quite like that. But we'll have a look at it and put it back together. Probably give this a clean out in here because it's quite a lot of muck in there. Right, so we can now get to these bolts. Get this lower camshaft. I haven't got my power wrenches out this morning yet because it's about 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning, so I don't want to make too much row out here, upset the neighbours any more than I need to. About 11ish I can start using tools like that. I think that's acceptable. Wouldn't bother me being woken up that early anyway. Just going to get my other magnetic tray to put these few pieces in. These are well worth having. A couple of these to put all your components in. Obviously they'd stick to your car as well if you were... that one's a bit crusty. Did I not undo that one? Didn't even touch that one, I don't think, did I? Yeah, it just saves losing all your nuts and bolts and things everywhere. Right, so that's our bottom cam cover off. They're all the same size, aren't they? Yeah, they're fine. Stick those in there so we don't lose them. Put that part. Right, there we have it. The cam belt. So, you can probably see what happens. So this is the crankshaft, this is connected to the pistons. This spins. It drives your camshafts around, which open and close the valves on top of the engine. So you can see why this is quite a crucial piece of kit. If this breaks, this will still be spinning if the car's in gear and you're rolling along the road, or even just inertia. If it's ticking over, it will carry on going for a couple of times. So your pistons will carry on going up and down, but because this isn't being driven and your two camshafts aren't being driven, just for reference, this is your inlet valves on this side, so your inlet camshaft, and that's your exhaust camshaft, exhaust manifold on that side. Your valves stop opening and closing, your pistons carry on going up and down, and you brake your engine big time. So that's why this is a crucial thing. Should be changed at all service intervals, and obviously I don't know. I don't know when this was last changed. It looks okay-ish, but just to be on the safe side, I'm going to stick a new one in. It's just not worth it. Just not worth the risk. So, before we take the cam belt off, you need to make sure everything is aligned. So, these two marks here need to be aligned, which they're not quite at the minute, but you'll also see on the bottom crankshaft pulley there's another little mark just there, and there's a little pointer there. Yeah, so that
needs to be lined up with that pointer. If I get straight on, it's not quite there, it's a tiny bit off, and also the camshafts are a tiny bit off. And also these valves, I spoke about this earlier when I looked at it, need to be closed on the number 1 cylinder, all 4 valves. So if you look there, those lobes are pointing that way, that way, that way and that way, which means they're not rubbing on the valves, which means they're not down. If we look at some others, for example, these two are pointing straight down, so they are actually opening the valves. These are just about to open, as are these. So yeah, these two are up, so their 2 valves are open, closed, sorry. These 2 are down, so they're open, valves are open. So as you can see on these 2, so 2 inlet valves are open, 2 exhaust valves, I'll get it right in a minute, 2 inlet valves are closed, 2 inlet exhaust valves are closed. So we know we are at top dead centre on there. So let's go and get these timing marks lined up spot on.
So I've got an Allen key in here. Basically there's an Allen key slot there. It says about putting a pin in an outer slot in the tensioner, rotating it clockwise, which you use that way to relieve the tension. Oh, by the way, I've got the timing marks up here. Actually, it doesn't say anything about the manual, and I bought the kit. Let's see if we can fit the parts of this kit in here, just to see what it does and how it works. There's all sorts of bits in here. I think I showed you the kit earlier, so that's the kit. These plastic bits, I know what they're for, I think. So they slot together like that and lock the cam belt in place, or the little camshafts in place, I believe. I think you do something like that. That doesn't want to fit.
Right, I've got a little bit of an issue here in that this tool that's supposed to lock this camshaft in place doesn't line up with the teeth. As you can see there, I think you can see, it's got different teeth spacing on it. Now, my concern is, if that doesn't fit, whether the cam belt we've bought is different, which will be a right pain, but the only way to do that is to find out. Sorry, the only way to find out is to actually try fitting it, or to have a look and compare it to the other one. So, looking at that, that's lined up nicely there. The bottom pulley is lined up nicely with its mark there. We know how to release the tension on the tensioner. So let's get that belt off and compare it with the new one.
So we've got that in there, and we rotate it clockwise, which my way of thinking is that way. Which is okay. Probably need to go around another notch. Take these bolts out. The engine mount bolt. Get them out of our way.
So I'm having a bit of a problem getting this cam belt on, the new one. The timing marks moved off of here, the crankshaft, and off of here. Now I managed to get those locking tools in. They do fit, they're just a really tight fit. God knows how I'm going to get them out again, because I've had to tap them in very lightly. But they have fitted, and as you can see, the alignment marks are aligned all the way through. So hopefully they're locked in the right places now. Just the crankshaft I'm going to try and lock off at the back somehow. Thinking of putting a clamp through that hole we was talking about earlier, just to stop it twisting. I've also took the old belt, which is there, and the new one. Oops, there's the old one there. New one's here, and I've counted the teeth on them. Hiya. Just one of my neighbours being friendly there. Yeah, so I've counted the teeth on both belts, and they're the same. It's 146 teeth. I've only done it once because it was quite laborious. I might do it again if I'm still having problems, but it looks like the belt is the right one. It's just really, really tight. I don't know what the procedure is, where to put it over first, whether to put it over here and round the tensioner, around the idler pulley first, or whether round the tensioner first and then round the crankshaft pulley. I don't know, but I'm going to get on and struggle on with it, see where we get to, because we need to get this on. Right, at last we've got the timing belt in. I didn't record me actually doing it because I was swearing and losing the plot, and the breakers yard were getting a call on Tuesday morning to come and take the whole car away and scrap it, because I'd had enough of it, because it is stupidly hot out here as well today. It's only about 12 o'clock and it's already up to 30 degrees. It's supposed to get to 32. Anyhow, back onto the car. I had a little look on YouTube, did a little Google, had a look on YouTube, and what somebody had done on there is they'd put the belt round but not put the idler roller in. So Liam's out here now. Say hi, Liam.
Hello.
He held the tensioner tensionless for me. It's supposed to be a little pin that you can put in, but for some reason the Genuine Gates kit that I bought hasn't got the little hole, so we couldn't lock it in place. So he held that over. We threaded the timing belt all the way through, and then while he held everything into place, I managed to, with a little bit of ingenuity, using some of these little plastic pry bars that are actually for getting trim off of the interiors of cars, I managed to move this roller over enough to line the bolt hole up, put that in, torqued it down, and it all seems to be pretty good. In the top there you can just see that belt is a little bit back on that pulley, but what I'm going to do very, very shortly is put the crankshaft pulley back on to the end of the crankshaft there, and turn it over by hand a couple of times, which is what they recommend you do anyway, and that just seat the belt and settle the tensions, and hopefully everything will be alright. Then what we'll do is we'll wind it round, put the bottom mark back on top dead centre, and check our timing marks are lined up. I think I said earlier on that I did manage to use the little camshaft locking blocks in the end. They were just a very tight fit, which I suppose they needed to be, so we did use those to lock the camshaft in position. And I also, in the end, because the crankshaft kept turning, there's probably one of the tools in it to do that, but what I did is I just put a little G clamp there through the starter motor hole and locked the flywheel in place for that. So we're going to go and take a quick break now, have a cold drink, maybe even a cold beer, and yeah, we'll crack on with it shortly. So I think the timing belt change has been a success. I've rotated the engine round now about 4 or 5 times, can't hear anything hitting anything else. The belt here has now moved over and aligned properly, it's aligned there. Timing marks are spot on there and there, and down here with the crankshaft position, so I'm happy with that. No slack that side, no slack there, and no slack there, so I think we're good to go with that. Just got to refit the lower cover. Top one doesn't really matter, that can be done later. The lower cover and crankshaft pulley have got to go on now. This needs torquing up to excuse me, to 95 Newton meters, and then it's got an angular tightening going on, so you need to do it another 30 degrees I think, and then another 15. So yeah, I've turned the engine round now, as you can see. The reason being was to start on the clutch, but thought no, I better do the crankshaft pulley first while I remember it. So next job is to do the clutch. Still at it, even though it's ridiculously hot still. Don't know if we're going to get to the stage of getting that one out, but we'll give it a go. Well, that's a wrap for this video, everybody. Hope you've all enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe down below, and keep your comments coming. I've had some interesting comments, interesting questions, especially about the fault we had with the roof back in the summer last year. That one seems to be quite a popular video, so if you've got anything you want to ask. Somebody did ask about could I do a video on disc replacement. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be doing disc replacements on any of my vehicles anytime in the near future, but I will be changing the brake pads, the rear brake pads on the Insignia very soon. So watch out for that one coming up. That might prove useful to some people, especially if you haven't done any work on cars before. As I said, please like, share and subscribe down below. I'm trying to build the channel up as best I can, and every little thumbs up helps. So take care everybody, keep safe, and I'll catch you in the next one.